Nobody can tell your story better than you. Today, you'll hear about how recording my own book taught me more than just about speaking into a microphone, but actually how to own my own message. And hopefully, you'll have that same thrill with your message. So, 3 points I'll cover: the struggle, the breakthrough, and then the benefits. Let's start with the struggle. I'm not really a fabulous reader. My dearest Carrie Ann and I, every night, we're together 10 years, we read in bed. We hold a book up, and she does most of the reading. And she's beautiful, PhD in philosophy, and it's just flows. The words flow out of her mouth. Then when it's my turn, it's like see, spot, run. And see, yeah. So I just was never good at really reading out loud. And I watched a bunch of videos on recording your own book because I thought a lot of people just have professional narrators do it. And that's what they were experts at that. But I said, no, this has to be in my voice. And I have to be on the top of my game when doing this. So I looked at some tips on how to speak into the microphone better. And I'm very fortunate because my library, just a few blocks away, has an audio booth where I scheduled a bunch of time to go through the whole, like 6 hours, took about 6 hours worth of recordings. So the first day I go there and I have my headset and I realize that my UBS is too small. So I'm trying to like speak into the mic and leaning over, holding the book, and it's a nightmare. So the next day I get a longer extension cord and I'm like, okay, I'm in business. So inspiration. I want to get some inspiration uh, for this endeavor. And what do? Well, some of my favorite things. That's right. That's the theme of today. These are some of my favorite things. Well, Aristotle is my hero and my dearest Carrie Ann. I have them looking at me while I'm recording the book because that's some inspiration. And I'm going through the process and it's taking hours. And I knew I was not going to be the one editing the recordings because of all the videos I saw, it says it takes however long the book is, the editing part is like 3 times that amount. So if I'm booking 6 hours of time, I do not have 18 hours to read these little squiggly signals and pull them out. So I go to Fiverr, talk with some guy, negotiate. I'll give you 300 bucks to do that. 300 bucks to do this. And the guy says, okay, that's actually I offered 200. He talked me up to 300, but 300 was what I had in the back of my mind anyway. So now it's time to read the actual book. So I got the headset on, got the microphone, got everything set up. And the one thing is when you make a mistake, and I realize the sentences are too long, the paragraphs are too long, I'll get right to the end and I'll screw up a word. And what you're supposed to do is clap so that the signal sees that difference in the sound, okay? But if I'm holding the book with both hands and I'm trying to clap, I'm like, well, this is not working. So it was really frustrating. And several times I would curse out loud, and there should be like a bloopers video. Like I should add that at the end of the Audible. Oh, by the way, this is all for audible.com. So they have their specs. All right. So very high standards for what they want. And so I go through this whole process and I'm exhausted and I'm booking 3 hours at a time and my voice is croaky and I just feel like I get frustrated, but I want to have this done as soon as possible, hand it off. Because for 1,500 bucks, the publishers said they would take care of it. But not only am I cheap, but it's like this has to outlast me. So it's more than that. I want this thing to be in my own voice. So let's go from the struggles to the breakthroughs. And one is I learned about pacing. I learned about emphasizing every sentence has a quotation in the beginning. And then whenever I would read a quote from someone, I'd lower my voice. I'd go into a different voice so it sounds different from the regular narration. That was one of the tips that I got from watching hours and hours of techniques by famous actors who do audiobooks. And I just felt like, oh, and also I'm reading to see if there are mistakes because this is a sample. This is a sample book. So I'm also looking, and when I catch a proofreading error, I'm like, oh man, now I have to do this over. Now I have to tell them what's going on. But the book is good. I gotta admit, because I'm reading it over and over again, I'm like, man, this is impressive. So I finish all the recordings, send it off to the editor. He sends it back to me within a few days, and now I have to listen to it over and over again. And I'm like, this is not that bad. I thought it would be worse. You know, that classic, I hate the sound of my own voice. I don't, but it's still, there's something in there. There's something odd about it. So sure enough, I send it off to the publisher, and oh no, I hear one Winston Churchill. So I have 7 speeches that I analyze throughout history, and Winston Churchill, I hear 2 sentences in a row, and I'm like, oh man, I have to get that edited. Apparently, I didn't clap. Okay, running out of time here. So the benefits: authenticity, using your own voice. If you are writing a book, and Antonio just finished one, I talked with him about this, have it in your own voice. And here's another reason: it will outlast you. Now, I think I'm exactly 0 years old, but I have about 100 years left. So in my life, but nevertheless, I think that this is still going to outlast me. So that's where I feel like, okay, recording a book, that reminds me that owning your own voice is the main thing. So whether you're speaking, writing, or doing podcasts, it's your story to tell, and do it with authenticity. Okay, that's it.